I just try and fill out whatever has not been explained in detail. So that because of this incredible humility, therefore Krishna's Lord Chaitanya just directly speaking through him and revealing this incredible literature that Chaitanya Charitamrita actually is. And as I said, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was not a direct associate of Lord Chaitanya, but he got the information from several devotees, and in particular from Lalitanatha Das Goswami, which brings us to it's also the disappearance day of Lalitanatha Das Goswami today, and he's one of the 6 Goswamis, and of course, like Sanatana and Rupa Goswami, they're famous for writing many books. Lalitanatha Das Goswami is not famous for so many books. He wrote 3 books himself. But actually also, he indirectly should also be famous for the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because actually that's, to a large degree, actually it's his book also. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was getting the information about Lord Chaitanya to a large degree from Lalitanatha Das Goswami. That's why in the end of each chapter, Krishnadas Kaviraj, he writes Rupa Raghunatha Padayara Asa Chaitanya Charitamrita Taha Krishna Dasa. Praying for the mercy of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, I, Krishnadas, narrate Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. So this Raghunath that he talks about as Lalitanatha Das Goswami. And whereas Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was not a direct associate, he never saw Lord Chaitanya. Lalitanatha Das Goswami, he was a direct associate, and he lived with Lord Chaitanya for many years actually as a servant of his servants. Sri Damodar Goswami was the direct servant and secretary of Lord Chaitanya, and Raghunath Das, he was the assistant of the servant of Sri Damodar Goswami. So he was very close to Lord Chaitanya. He was witnessing the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, and he was also hearing from Sri Damodar many things that only Sri Damodar was witnessing. And he was also keeping notes and keeping a diary, Raghunath Das Goswami. It's actually described that Sri Damodar Goswami was keeping a diary, and Raghunath Das Goswami was also keeping a diary. And Raghunath Das was more elaborated. Sri Damodar was more brief, more. So, so Raghunath Das Goswami, he was very close to Lord Chaitanya. And then after, then what happened when Lord Chaitanya, he passed away. It's a great tragedy how Lord Chaitanya passed away. All the devotees were just plunged into complete sorrow and misery, and including Raghunath Das Goswami. And his sorrow became double, because not just shortly after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya, Sri Damodar Maharaj also left, because he could not tolerate being in this world without Lord Chaitanya. So he passed away, and then Raghunath Das, he was there, completely depressed, and he decided, I'll kill myself. I'll go to Vrindavan. I want to go and pay my obeisances to the lotus feet of Rupa and Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, get their mercy, and then I'll go on top of Govardhan Hill and jump and kill myself. That was his plan. So he went to Vrindavan. Of course, when he came to Vrindavan, then Rupa and Sanatana Goswami said, they were happy to see Raghunath Das, and but they said, no, you cannot forget about killing yourself. You are our brother. You stay here with us as our brother. So he was accepted as one of the 6 Goswamis, and as a brother of Rupa and Sanatana, they adopted him. And so instead of killing himself, he lived for many years in Vrindavan. He became quite old. And of course, his life has been described. He was a personification of renunciation. He wouldn't actually, for many years, he stopped eating, and he would only drink a little bottle of milk every second day, just a small cup of hot milk he would drink. And he was chanting constantly, almost like Das Taco. He's chanting so much and not sleeping at all. And he was paying obeisances. How many thousands of times he was paying obeisances every day to Vaishnavas? 2,000. It was 2,000 times. And then for 3 hours a day he would sit down and lecture on Lord Chaitanya. And devotees, they would sit around him and he would tell about the life of Lord Chaitanya every day for 3 hours. And then also Krishnadas Kaviraj, he was there and he was listening to Lalitanatha Das. So that's actually where Krishnadas Kaviraj, he got last part of the information from Lalitanatha Das explaining, living at Radhakund, Lalitanatha Das Goswami was mainly living at Radhakund, and the devotees would gather around him every day. And so we very much, we of course Rupa as followers of Rupa Goswami, who gave us so many literatures, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in particular, and also many other books. And also Sanatana Goswami, he was the oldest of the 6 Goswamis, and the other Goswamis were in one sense under his authority. He was actually also the first one who started writing, and the others started writing on his instigation. And but also Lalitanatha Das is very, very important now. We also followers of Lalitanatha Das because, as I say, we have Chaitanya Charitamrita also through his mercy. And the life of Lalitanatha Das is, very interesting, and it's described in great detail also in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's two chapters on his life. It's only one chapter. I believe it's 2. No, I'm not sure. It's all in one, could be all in one chapter, maybe Anjalila. Where it's described how Lalitanatha Das Goswami, he was the son of maybe the greatest millionaires and billionaires in Bengal at that time, Hiranya and Govardhan Majumdar. He was the son of, they were 2 brothers, and he was the son of Govardhan Majumdar. And they were the tax collectors of Hussain Shah, if I'm right. The Nawab, the king of Bengal. And so they were in charge of the tax collecting, and they would keep a quarter of all the taxes collected as their commission. So that was a business, collecting taxes, and so actually they were fabulously wealthy. And Lalitanatha Das, he grew up as the only son in that family, so he was to inherit all that wealth. But he was not interested. He was, as a child, he saw Lord Chaitanya. Did he stay in their home, or he went to somewhere and so? But he met Lord Chaitanya as a child. He was so attracted by Lord Chaitanya. He said, "I just want to be with Lord Chaitanya," and so he lost all interest in the welfare and actually his father and mother and uncle. They were very, very desperate. They were so worried about what's going to become of our Raghunath. He has no interest in material life, and they tried by all means to keep him and get him interested. They found the most qualified and beautiful young girl, and they married him to a girl who was like a goddess of fortune. He was not interested. And
he slept outside the house.
Yeah, that's it. Finally, there was no. He was just interested in Lord Chaitanya. His parents didn't allow him to go to Lord Chaitanya. And then it's described that as he was, when he was a young man, Lord Nityananda was traveling with his entourage, moving around in Bengal, preaching, spreading the Sankirtan movement. And came also close to the home of Lalitanatha Das, and there Lalitanatha Das, he begged, please let me go and see Lord Nityananda. My life will need my body if you don't allow me. So they agreed, you can go and see Lord Nityananda. Of course, he got a whole crew of servants and brahmanas along with him to serve him and also make sure that he didn't run anywhere. They were constantly guards, prison guards. So, but it's described how he came and how he saw Lord Nityananda. He came on distance, on a great distance. He just saw Lord Nityananda, he came and paid obeisances, and he didn't dare go closer because he thought, I'm so fallen, I don't want to get too close to Lord Nityananda, but at least just at a distance he could see Lord Nityananda. And there, but when he was there paying obeisances, I think it was Raghava Pandit, one of the great devotees of Lord Chaitanya and also associates of Lord Nityananda, was there with Nityananda Guru, and he was saying, just see, that's Lalitanatha Das paying obeisances over there. And then Nityananda said, go and catch him, he's a thief, get hold of him. So they went and they caught Lalitanatha Das and brought him to Lord Nityananda and said, Nityananda said to him, you're a great thief, today I'll punish you. And then he put his feet on his head. And then he said, you have to, your punishment is that you have to feed prasad to all my men here. You have to arrange for a feast for everyone here. And then Lalitanatha Das, he was so ecstatic. He got that special mercy of Lord Nityananda, and he arranged for a very famous feast, the Panihati. It was called Chitadata Utsava, the festival of chipped rice and yogurt. And that is described in the Chaitanya, that fantastic feast. So many people came, hundreds of thousands of devotees practically came, and Lalitanatha Das was feeding all of them. He had so much money, he was just sponsored the whole thing. It was such a feast that Lord Nityananda was eating it all, and actually Lord Chaitanya secretly came unseen by others, but Lord Nityananda could see him, and he was also eating. And anyway, so it's a detailed description of that feast, how he actually got the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And in the end, he gave donations to all the Vaishnavas also, and some special donations to Lord Nityananda, and pray for the mercy. Can I get free so I can get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya? And Lord Nityananda assured him, yes, eventually you get the mercy. But now you go back home and don't. Actually, previously also, Lord Chaitanya had given instruction: you don't act like a crazy man. Just go home and be a normal person. And eventually, at one point, you get a chance, and then you can join him. So similarly, again, he went back home and tried to be a normal materialist. It's actually described from that day on, he slept outside. He wasn't necessarily slept outside, but from that day, he slept outside, in the house, there's a kind of veranda, terrace veranda outside the houses. He would sleep out there. And the guards were told, now you keep extra vigilance because you can see actually what he's about to. But it's described that, even though he was being guarded day and night, he actually managed to, he escaped one night. One night, everyone was sleeping, he was sleeping, and then there was Nandana Acharya, one other great devotee. He came, and he actually had a close problem that the pujari in the local temple, there was somehow or other he had left his service, and there was no pujari. So then Nandana Acharya, he came and he woke up Lalitanatha Das, can you make an arrangement? We need someone to make the puja in the morning. And then Lalitanatha Das said, yes, okay, I'll take care. I'll go and speak with the priest and convince him that he should go. And then Nandana Acharya also went with him, let's go and speak with the priest. And then Lalitanatha Das there said, actually, you go home, I'll take care of that myself, I can speak with him myself. So then Nandana Acharya peacefully back to home. And Raghunath Das, he thought, now is my chance. So he didn't go to the priest, he just took off. And he traveled, walked, ran for, I don't know how long did he walk for?
7 days or so.
7 days?
I don't know that time, but it was several days he went to the forest and he went quite, we didn't eat like
No.
days.
He was just, and hiding. His parents, when they found out that he had left, then they sent a group of men to find him. And the devotees from Bengal that time were on the way to Jagannath Puri. The whole group of devotees would leave hundreds, I think like 300 devotees would leave every year, headed by Shivananda Sena. And so they thought that Raghunath Das must have joined them. So they went and caught up with that group. And Shivananda Sena said, no, Raghunath Das didn't come here. And Raghunath Das, of course, he knew I can't join with them because that precisely what will happen. My parents, they would try to get hold of me there. So he was walking, just through the roads and off the beaten path and like that. And hardly eating anything. And this way he arrived after some days or a week or something like that. He arrived in Jagannath Puri. And there, from then on, he stayed there for as long as Lord Chaitanya was living. He became the personal servant of Sri Damodar Goswami. He became also an example of extreme renunciation, which of course is interesting because he came from such a wealthy background. But he became so renounced that he eventually he would not even beg for food. In the beginning he was begging around to get a little food. In the end he would simply go and collect rotten foodstuff that had been discarded, and even the cows would not even, it was the Mahaprasad from the Jagannath temple. And when it was too old to sell to the pilgrims, then the cows, they would be fed the prasad. But some of the prasad would get so rotten that even the cows would not touch it. Raghunath Das would get that prasad, that rice, and then he would wash it with a lot of water, and then there would be still some hard parts inside that rice that was rotten. And then he would eat that with a little salt, and that was how he was living.
That was not rotten, yeah? Some hard part that was not rotten within.
Yeah.
They said that it was rotten.
Okay.
Some good
parts
parts
was not
were
rotten.
rotten.
Yeah, the hard part was not rotten.
Yeah.
And then he would eat that. And he was extremely dear associate of Lord Chaitanya.
Lord Chaitanya came to eat it.
And Lord Chaitanya at one point came to eat that food. We heard from Sri Damodar how Raghunath Das was maintaining himself. He's describing Chaitanya how he's gradually becomes more and more renowned, and Lord Chaitanya just becoming more and more ecstatic to see how renowned Raghunath Das actually is.
You are enjoying feast without inviting me.
Yeah. And he tried to take one handful. Sri Damodar, he was tough and said that he wanted to take one more handful. And anyway, so a lot more can be said about Raghunath Das. He's a very essential devotee. Out of time almost, but a few comments also about Raghunath Bhatta. That's the other Raghunath. There are two Raghunaths amongst the 6 Goswamis. Raghunath Bhatta is, in one sense, maybe is that one we know least about of the 6 Goswamis. Of course, we know that what his background is, that he was the son of Tapana Mishra, who was a Brahmana originally living in East Bengal, but he on Lord Chaitanya's order, he moved to Varanasi and lived there for the rest of his life. When Lord Chaitanya, he went still as a grihasta, actually quite as a newly married grihasta, he went to East Bengal, and there he met Tapana Mishra. And Lord Chaitanya had really actually revealed his identity. But Tapana Mishra, he in a dream, he was a Brahmin, but he was somewhat confused about the goal of life. He couldn't really figure out what is the real goal of life, who's supreme, and like that. It's described like that. I don't think he's not confused like we were confused, but he was unclear about the actual process to achieve the goal of life. And in a dream he was advised to go and go and speak with, at that time, Nimai Pandit, he was known as that, Lord Chaitanya. So he went there, and Lord Chaitanya somewhat revealed his identity to him and actually told him that Krishna is the ultimate goal. He should devote to service of Krishna as a process to achieve the ultimate goal. And then he told him you should go to Varanasi and you should live there with your family. Which was somewhat mystical because there was no indication that Lord Chaitanya would take sannyas and would travel and one might come to Varanasi. But Lord Chaitanya gave that order. And so he went there, he lived in Varanasi, Chaitanya lived in Varanasi for the rest of his life. And Raghunath, it was his son. And which means when Lord Chaitanya went to Vrindavan, going through the Lalitanatha forest, he came to Varanasi, both on the way to Vrindavan and also on the way back from Vrindavan. And so that means at that time Raghunath was still a young boy, but he saw Lord Chaitanya and became completely attached to him and became his devotee. And his parents were great devotees also. So that was when he at that time he became completely fixed on Lord Chaitanya. And then when he was just a young man, I'm not sure, 18, 20, something like that, he actually came to Jagannath Puri and visited and lived with, and stayed with Lord Chaitanya, described for 6 months. Something like that. He came and he's described it, and he stayed with Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri for 6 months. It's described in the Anjalila. And then after that, Lord Chaitanya said, you go back to Varanasi and you stay with your old parents and you take care of your parents as long as they live. And then afterwards you can come back to me. So that's what he did. He went back, he took care of his old parents who were great devotees, and he cared for them. And then after some years they passed away, and then he came back to Lord Chaitanya. And he stayed with another, I believe, 6 months with Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri. And then Lord Chaitanya said, now you should go to Vrindavan and you should take shelter of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami and live with them. And that's what he did. And then for the rest of his life he went and he lived in Vrindavan as one of the 6 Goswamis. He didn't, to my knowledge, he did not write books. The other Goswamis wrote books, but we have no books from Lalitanatha Das Goswami. That does not mean that he was illiterate. He was actually a great Sanskrit scholar, and he was an expert in Bhagavatam. It's described that he would give Bhagavatam lectures, every day, because he was such an expert in Bhagavatam lectures. And every verse he would recite in 3 different tunes. His Sanskrit recitation was in itself it was worth the whole Bhagavatam lecture. He says his voice was as sweet as a cuckoo. He had such a sweet voice, and he was speaking Bhagavatam with such realization. And he described he was a great cook, actually, very expert cook. And he is the founder of the, as far as I know, the Radha Raman temple, isn't it? That's founded by Lalitanatha Das one of the main. Radha Raman? So which one did Lalitanatha found?
I'm not sure.
As far as I know, one of the 7 main temples of Vrindavan is founded by Lalitanatha.
Not necessarily, because there is Lokanath Goswami, I think he founded one.
Rupa and Sanatana founded each one, and Jiva Goswami and Shamananda.
Yeah, and then there is also, what's his name, Madhu something. There's one of the, who's not one of the 6 Goswamis. There's 2 who founded one of these original.
Lokanath Swami founded Radha Gokulananda.
Yeah.
Let's check. I'm almost sure that Raghunath found one, but that's okay. I might be wrong.
You are.
No. Maybe.
You are wrong. It's Gopalabhata Das-2 who found it.
Raghunath. It's described about Raghunath Goswami, he was writing Bhagavatam every day, and he was also, he had one character, he did not want to hear any criticism of devotees.
Who was that?
Raghunath. He didn't want to hear any negative, anything critical about devotees. Even if devotees had some fault, he didn't want to hear, because they're not really faults. He just wanted to hear about the absolute qualities of the devotees and not to hear them criticized. And Swami elaborates in the purport about the danger of hearing criticism of devotees. And, it's actually what undermines our spirit, our devotional life. What nourishes our devotional life is to hear about the qualities of devotees, and what ruins our spiritual life if we like to hear criticism of devotees or dwell in devotees' so-called faults. They have no faults. Devotees have surrendered to Krishna. They have no faults. And actually one should not want to hear. So Raghunath was completely consistent that he didn't want to hear anything negative about devotees. So he's described like that. But I say we do not, maybe because we have no direct books from him, but I'm sure he has inspired so many other, but our information about him is actually less than the information we have about the other Goswamis. Doesn't really no information about him, but again, he's,
Was he the one who said that don't write any books about me, don't?
No. Gopal Bhatta requested, I don't want to mention him, Chaitamrita. And also Lokanath Goswami and Bhugapa Goswami also said don't mention him. It's not mentioned that Raghunath Bhatta specifically didn't want to mention it. And he is mentioned. There's a chapter which is not only about Raghunath Bhatta, but I think half the chapter is about the life of Raghunath Bhatta. So he's described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Gopal Bhatta he's just mentioned offhand a couple of places. Because he did not want to be mentioned. Okay. So, probably we should stop here. John. All goes to Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, Lalitanatha Das Goswami, Lalitanatha Goswami, Sri Bhagavan, all Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.